Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another production of the Cross-Platform Baseball League. It is another weekly roundup here for you in this early season of Season 14 in the XBL, and it's being brought to you by myself, Dwayne, and in the booth with me, my good friend, AAA champion, AA champion, now XBL official member. What's up, Ox? How are you doing?
What's up, Dwayne? D-Money, good to have you back here, man. Good to have somebody in charge of the production here tonight other than myself, and glad to be here for the first roundup of the year.
Yeah, last week's hiccups, we'll forget all about those, and we'll go through this roundup just like we always do, ready to rock and roll through all kinds of content, all kinds of exciting stuff for all of you who have come to show up tonight and see it. We got the rankings, we got StatCast storylines, we got a little impromptu hot take thing going on that'll be exciting, and of course our plays of the week. We had a lot to go through for the first week. And some fun and exciting things there. So without further ado, I think we can go ahead and get this moving. We're going to go ahead and start with the AAA rankings this week. And down there at the bottom, a player who has not quite played, quite enough games to really say much for their season or their career in the XBL just yet. It is M. Barry, 0-2.
Yeah, Dwayne, actually, a couple of Oxbox welfare checks are going to go down tonight. The first one of the night's going to be on M. Barry. We're going to have to check in on him, see if he does intend to continue playing. See just 2 games played and not a lot of activity from him. So we need to, check in on the Hornets. There's someone in the XBL that we're also going to have to check in on, but more on that later.
Yeah, an interesting dichotomy of games played and games unplayed early in this season 14. This is the most we've seen the AAA really kick off in many moons, and on the opposite end there's players that are still severely lacking. We'll see how that remedies as we move into week 4. Let's slide up the board here to rank 16, 17, and 18. There's actually no movement among these teams here from last week, but the 3 of them have shown some improvement.
Yeah, the AAA is absolutely popping right now. I mean, everybody is already well into double-digit games played, which you love to see. This is the start of week 3, so right along where they should be, just about everyone across the board, other than, 1 or 2 guys. But, yeah, not a lot of movement here in the back end of the rankings yet. Like you said, some big wins coming this past week for all 3 of these players. So, stagnant ranking-wise, but they are adding to the win column, which you love to see.
Yeah, we see Joey picking up his first wins of the season against Heisman and Hezzy. And then you see Snowbird and the Black Roses picking up their first against the Wise Guys. A little bit more success for the champs and under the bus so far. But we'll look to see the 3 of these players make some noise as the season goes on, and as we get into that playoff bracket, the early rounds of AAA usually do produce a good few upsets from that end of the rankings. And we'll slide up here to 13, 14, and 15th. Here we see a decent dip for Heisman and his Houston Stars, a logo I really don't want to be looking at right now. That's okay. At least it says Stars on it, not Astros. We got the Central Jersey Wise Guys, a fictional team from a fictional place, needing to do some improvement. And we've got the Pirates and Rise and Fall, new and blue, hasn't picked up any wins in the recent times.
Man, Dwayne, say what you will, but all 3 of these logos looking great. Look at all the Circle logo gang coming in strong here at 13,
Big Circle
14,
gang.
15. And these are 3 veterans of the game right here. These guys off to slow starts in their season, but certainly capable of beating anyone. We have Rise and Fall, who's split with Black Coffee. D. Sill is off to one of his worst starts possibly ever, but always a very strong player in the AAA. And then Heisman, we've seen, me and Mist actually talked about this in silence. Heisman has the ability, a lot like Tezzy, he's a giant slayer. He can really beat anybody. You just don't know what you're going to get out of Heisman. We saw Heisman beat Fireball Max, and he has some big wins to his name. And then he also has some losses, like Mystery Man. I think 10-0'd him once, and then he split Mystery Man. So I think Heisman's definitely a player to watch going forward. He has that giant slayer capability, but also kind of plays to his opponent's level. So we'll see how they end up doing as we go on.
Yeah, these are 3 players I think we're going to see some improvement out of for sure. 13th, 14th, and 15th right now, but as we go through the season, they age like fine wine, really, the 3 of them. Honestly, all 3 of them, they will find those wins, find those giant slayers, especially like you said, Heisman, and see that improvement. It'll be exciting for the middle portion of this AAA table with the talent in it this season as we look at more of the players that'll be involved. In P-Funk and his rookie All-Stars, they're ranked number 10, followed by Mystery Man and Eduardo, tied at rank number 11.
Yeah, and you see two guys, honestly, Dwayne, you got it. Honestly, really, 3, 4, 5 guys in a row right there, as we saw on the previous screen. Some league veterans to the AAA that are not off to their ideal starts, as we see Eduardo's taken a couple of beatings this season, and Mystery Man, who, was looking really good coming into the year, I think he's not off to a bad start, but he was probably hoping for a better one. And, the new guy, P-Funk, PB&J, he's come in and played very strong so far, played some good baseball. So, with the round robin, with the AAA, everybody making the playoffs, obviously you can't sleep on anyone, but a bit of a surprise. Some of these guys are in the double digits of these rankings.
Yeah, we'll have to see some improvement, especially, from our veterans. I think, you're looking at Eduardo, who played in a AAA World Series, and Mystery Man, who's now got a lot of pedigree under his belt. So we'll see those two push forward. All three of these teams with 5 victories, all three of them within a relative amount of games underneath the most games played in the AAA right now. So you'd have to think winning 5 games out of their sample size, decent amount of games, especially, P-Funk only playing 9, Mystery Man only playing 11, and Eduardo a little bit more at 15. But there will be some improvement from these players. It's just going to be about winning games against players over 500. If you can snag any of those, that'll only ever help. And keeping the runs down. This is probably Eduardo's worst pitching season, a player who's known for his pitching. 7.96 runs allowed per 9.
Yeah, you look at Eduardo's bars, I just don't think he can get away with pitching that weak of a build. But, he makes it work the way he does. But, Dwayne, I think this speaks to, there's a lot of parity in AAA, but it also speaks to the strength of the upper half of the league when you've got guys like Mist and Eduardo coming in 10, 11, 12 range. That speaks to, how strong the top half is.
Yeah, and there's some new faces and old faces as we're going to slide up there. Yeah, it's an interesting group in this AAA. 19 players. That's the most players we've had in regulation at this time, at least in AAA. So let's see how that keeps going as the season goes on. We'll slide up the rankings. Tied.
If I could describe AAA so far in one word, so far to this point, it would be spicy.
Oh, it's absolutely spicy. It's all over the place. These guys got a lot of spunk in the AAA, that's for sure.
That's true, a lot of spunk.
And we have a interesting look here at rank 7. No 8, we got a tie at 7 and 9. Heavy hitters and Scotty is big moment for Tezzy, always jumping up in these midseason rankings, it seems. Tied with Finite, who is kind of falling out of favor, but hasn't played a whole ton of games yet. And then Stabbing Crabs with a nice 507-7 record.
I think there's a lot to be said about all three of these guys. I'm going to start off with Tezzy. That all depends on what kind of internet connection he's on. I think right now his internet situation is his home internet has not been the best. He's had a lot of disconnects, a lot of problems, and obviously hasn't played great baseball. But when he is on, it's like his cousin or his brother. When he goes over there and he's got the good connection, you don't want to play Tezzy, man. He can beat anybody, and he's very strong. We saw him sweep Elron Coin the other day. So as we saw Elron Coin on last night on Match of the Week, one of the best players in AAA. So you don't want to sleep on Tezzy. He lost to Joey early, but now he's off to a 6-2 start, shooting on up the rankings, and Finite at 3-3. But he's played some of the best players in this league, including FDZ and No Name, who, he lost some games there, but the Scotties have put up runs as strong as anyone. So I wouldn't sleep on the Scotties. They might be a little bit underranked right here, but, again, that speaks to the strength of this AAA, Dwayne.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge race for a top half finish in this AAA and a really big race for like top 5, top 6. You know what I mean? I think that there's just too many players that are like, oh yeah, that player's top 5 player in this AAA. Look,
yeah,
there can only be 5 of them. There's probably like 10 of them realistically.
And hey, Stabbing Crabs has never played online league play before. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on that, but I believe this is some of his first PvP experience in Super Mega, and off to a 7-7 start in the AAA. That's something to be proud of, really.
Yeah, it's very, very impressive from a rookie player. 7 wins early in your career. Some people don't get 7 wins all season, so that's huge for a rookie player coming in, like you said, especially off of offline play. We're going to go ahead and slide up the rankings here after looking at these three teams pretty nice and in-depth. We got 4, 5, and 6. BC Neretva Valley, Blue Panther. What a season so far from Blue Panther. He is absolutely mashing and pitching just as well as we always have seen. And following right behind him, another usual Von Asen suspect in the Base Bandits. No Name through 8 games early on with 7 victories, followed up by Black Coffee, who had kind of a rough week. Started off hot, 5-1, now 8-6. But you see that strength of schedule for Black Coffee number 2. You know Coffee's going to be putting up runs and getting W's down the road here.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's what I was talking about, guys. When you see these three that aren't even in the top 3, which not objective, but all 3 of these guys, very strong players. We saw Coffee split with Fireball Max and split with Blue Panther as well. And we've got a little bit more on Blue Panther later on, and No Name. 2 veterans of this AAA have been here 5 seasons now and racking up more wins than anybody in the history of AAA. You see No Name at 7-1 and Blue Panther at 13-3. Honestly, they have 2 of the best records in the league and are obviously 2 of the best players. They're going to be 2 of the toughest guys to beat in a playoff series, I think. Because you look at those pitching numbers, Dwayne, they're not scoring more than 5 runs a game, really, but they're holding their opponents to just ridiculous numbers.
Yeah, No Name under 3. Blue Panther with an insane 1.73 runs allowed per 9, 211 batting average against. He has that Von Asen pedigree, as we've mentioned many a time in the races, in the award races. But we'll see how it holds up for him going forward against a player like No Name and, his favorable Shaka.
Right, and that's I believe both players are at Shaka this season, and that's how a lot, not Shaka specifically, but their pitching is how they rack up these W's season after season. They continue to be in the top 5, top 10 players because they're so strong on the mound. They do the little things, and I think that's something the other guys in the AAA who are really good hitters but not necessarily as crafty all around, they have their hands full with those type of players.
Yeah, and that's usually a recipe for success when you can pitch this well. You're looking at a .83 whip too from Blue Panther right now, so we'll see if anybody can break that down going forward. He's looking for some record-setting type stuff, and we'll slide up the board here to ranks 1, 2, and 3 of the AAA. These players, all well-deserved, all packing in the games, all with a ton of victories. You have the Miami Knights and Fireball Max, the early season favorites in this league, followed up by the rookie in FDZ Guy and his double bogey boys, absolutely crushing the ball. And following up, another rookie, the Help Deskers and Elron Coin, making a great appearance here early in their AAA rookie season. Huge split on Match of the Week with Max just the other night.
Yeah, shout out to these rookies, 2 of the top 3 rookie players, and then Max, following up his strong rookie campaign with a great sophomore campaign here in the AAA. Started off just on a ridiculous tear, still putting up a ridiculous 13 per 9 on offense with 33 homers, and, his pitching has improved numbers-wise, so, great job to start for Max. But you look at these 2 rookies, Dwayne, I think it's really impressive that they, and you could easily rank anybody on the previous screen or 2 up here with these guys, but I think you got to tip your cap to the way these guys have started off the year.
Yeah, this is a very strong top 3 to start off this season. We'll see how the playoffs shake out for them, because those players that we have already gone over are going to be in that dogfight, are going to make a series out of a lot of these matchups. So 2 games is one thing, 5, 3, whatever, 7 maybe is another, but we're talking playoffs. We're talking about that down the road. Today it's these 3 right now standing tall, and what really impresses me off the rip here is that they all score, but Miami Knights and Max score so much more. But it's you'd think he's got the most runs. He's crushing on the home runs too, probably Ashnod style. You look at these 3 players, they're within 4 home runs of each other at any given moment. It's just Max gets so many hits, and that run conversion rate, 50.3%. Half of the runners that he puts on base score. That's insane.
Yeah, Fireball's really not. I bet if you asked him, he wouldn't consider himself a home run hitter. He averages like 20, you're looking at above 20 hits a game a lot of times. And that was so difficult when I played him. It's like, he might not hit a home run every at bat, but how do you get him out? So hats off to everybody who has taken a game off Fireball. But, I can't wait to see how the AAA plays out, Dwayne, because right now it's really just information gathering as you play your 2-game sets against everyone. But the playoffs is where it really kicks up, and I can't wait to see who plays who matches up, and who ends up beating who. But great job to all these AAA guys. It's been incredibly active and incredibly exciting so far.
Yeah, it definitely has the stage set to be the most exciting AAA season probably of all time in our time of doing AAA since season 8. So that's a lot of AAA. We've gone through almost a better half of 10 seasons of it. Soon enough, it'll be 10 too. So exciting for the AAA to have this much talent in it for sure. Great competition right now. And speaking of great competition, we're going to head to the top competition in the XBL, and that is the XBL itself. We got Dark Raider having a rough start to his season at the bottom of the rankings right now, but you have to know he's got a few solo shots in him to pick up a couple W's and then some as we move on down the road.
Yeah, our man Raider's still looking for that first W. He hasn't played me yet, so if he's watching this, I know we've got a couple of absolute battles in our future coming up. We'll see who ends up on top, but you can't sleep on Raider. He led the league in strikeouts last season in his rookie campaign, so the runs are hard to come by for him, but he is tough on the mound, and he's due for a solo shot or two every time he plays, so you can't sleep on him. But at this point, his playoff chances are starting to look bleak unless he turns it around.
Yeah, having only played 5 sets, he has played some tough players. You can see his last week just passing, playing Lazy and Flash. So we'll see some advancement and some improvement out of these Moose as we move on. And we'll move on up the board to ranks 13th, 14th, and 15th. We got Ox and his holograms in his first season in the XBL up here, ranked 13, falling a little bit from rank 11, followed by Chronic Lies, who just got into action, split with Wishbone this week and lost to Speedy, up now 1 spot to rank 14, swapping places with Big George and the Saints, who split with Ox earlier this week.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise out of Chronic Lies. We have not seen them play a whole lot this season, but was able to split Wishbone the other day. And then, losing 0-2 to Speedy, myself and Chronic have both been swept by Speedy, as have you, Dwayne. That kid is on a tear right now, but I think George and I are off to pretty strong rookie starts, and other than Mama June, obviously we're the only 3 rookies, but we're holding our own so far.
Yeah, so far so good for the rookies. Like we had said a little bit in the AAA, Ox down there, already 5 wins in this early season through 12 games. Anytime your ratio is closer to half, maybe a little bit under 500, but you got to be feeling good through that many games to pick up some W's.
I was sitting pretty at 500 before last night, so we're just a day late on the holograms, but that's okay.
Yeah, tough set last night versus Civilization. Well pitched, 18 innings from Mama Junjun on that match of the week. And shout out to everybody who's been picking the booth up lately real quick, because I have made my first appearance in here since last season's World Series. I haven't really had the time to get in, but it's great to have everybody helping out, making it happen. Thank you all so much for running these casts. Yeah, Mystery Man, shout out big time, stepping up huge, making it happen, along with Weave and Ox with the support. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, just these 3 players. I think, again, we've said it many times as we're in the bottom of the rankings, we're looking for improvement. We're going to see improvement out of players like this. This is going to be a few of the players in that race for the 12th spot in the XBL that we always have. We'll slide up the board now to a surprising rank number 10 tie here. And rank number 12, Permatilt and the Flippers at 12, dipping a little bit, just getting started now this season at 0-4, played 2 of the hardest teams in the league. Webb also just getting started through 4 games, split with Flash, lost to Mama Junjun in an exciting split for Mama. And then Mike hasn't played a game, falling in the rankings. Where are the Cooch Potatoes?
Yeah, Dwayne, welfare check number 2 on the night. We called out Barry. Cooch Potatoes, this is your call out as well. Where are you, buddy? We're waiting on you. And 10th is kind of a sleeper pick for Mike. Without any games played, it's hard to rank the guy, but if you just go off talent alone, he's a top 4 player. So, when Mike does start playing some games, look out, because they're as tough as anybody. Same with Webb, and honestly, all 3 of these guys. Flippers just played Speedy to a 1-run game, so he has the ability to play with or beat anybody. and Webb does as well, but we haven't seen a lot of games played out of anyone on this list so far, so look for them to get some games in and some momentum rolling.
Yeah, once these three players really get started, you'd have to think it is going to shake up the rankings and the standings a good bit. And we'll slide up to the next portion of it, some players that do have some more games played. And myself and Wishbone tied at rank number 7 this week, followed by Mama Junjun at rank 9, moving up from rank 13, above 500, had a really good week last week.
Yeah, and like anybody I haven't played yet, I'm obviously going to rank ahead of me, but all three of these guys, strong players, and Civilization, like we just said, swept me on Match of the Week last night. Nice job by the kid, Mama June. We see an improved logo there by the Civilization. Nice job going Circle Gang. And again, a screen with all three going Circle Gang logos. And yeah, we see Wish and Dwayne kind of going back and forth this year. Not off to the start they were hoping to, but you guys are certainly, there's been a lot of parity in the XBL this year, Dwayne. It's not as top heavy as normal.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of shaking up and a little bit of power vacuum for people to try and grab onto. So the race for top 6, top 4, especially in the XBL, it's going to be really, really tight as the season wears on. You're going to see that reflected in the rankings here as we move into those spots. And right now, these are kind of the players on the outside looking in of that top 6. Myself and Wish, like you said, off to starts that we wouldn't really like, but strength of schedule in the XBL also a little messed up with the lack of games played towards the bottom half. So we'll see how all that evens out. Some really tough matchups for all the players here in this group early in this season. But from the players that are above us here, and there's some really exciting numbers and exciting things to see as we slide up the board. Let's go ahead and do that. Here's one of those big surprises. Look at Pizza and Flash at ranks 4 and number 5, followed by Milky Yeezus and the Lecheros from rank 11 up to rank number 6.
Yeah, all three of these a little bit surprising to be ranked in the top 6. We see Flash, well, really all three of these guys not even scoring, averaging 5 runs a game at the plate. But Lechero's getting it done on the mound, 2.03, ERA looking good there. And Flash getting it done on the mound as well. Pizza's played lazy, of course, and then we saw Pizza sweep the Mallard, so big sweep for the Moon Kingdom there, and obviously that epic split, the 2 ball games you guys played on Match of the Week was incredible. But like I said, parity. I wouldn't necessarily consider any of these 3 teams stronger than any of the last 3 teams we just saw on the screen.
Yeah, I think more so recency bias than anything, and strength of schedule again in play here for these players right now, looking hot, looking good at the beginning of the season. The players below them maybe going a little bit more top heavy and falling in the standings because of that. But we'll see success from the entire group, everyone we're just talking about right now. You'd have to say these are all probably playoff teams in this XBL. And, we're wondering right now, especially, in the veteran sort of, stratosphere, is this the Flash that was promised? Is he, apparently he moved about a foot closer to his monitor, but I'm thinking about trying the same thing, and he's looking pretty good.
Yeah, only 4 home runs in 8 games, so not the Flash of old in that regard, but he has a winning record through 8 games, so that's certainly something different than years past, and he doesn't have to play Ash, Lazy, Luke, whoever, the way he used to set up his schedule where he'd play Murderer's Row right out the gate. So yeah, definitely a strong start to the season from Flash. But, again, where's Mike? Mike I would put ahead of all these guys if he'd been playing games. But right now I would think any of these guys could beat Mike the Coach to make his debut against one of them.
Yeah, there's also, the entire possibility of Mike being absolutely washed upon his return. He's been playing so much FIFA. There's really no telling if the washed club is going to make an appearance here in this season or not. So big for the Cooch Potatoes to make a comeback if they do so.
We'll see if foot-eye coordination is the same as hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, right. Move up to the top 3, and here's a big one. Lazy, still at 9-1, ranked number 1, looking strong to start off another season for the Black Jackals, followed up by Speed Demon, who was ranked 4 last week, now jumping up to rank number 2, an amazing week from Speedy, and then Luke right behind him at rank number 3, a strong week from the Mallards, but he's only 2 games above 500 right now.
Yeah, it's been nothing but hot takes and W's out of the frowny faces this season. But what can you say other than just tip your cap to the kid? Because you know, as far as most improved player goes, he's really jumped out to a strong lead. I think in that category, Speedy just night and day a better player than he was in seasons past, and took it too lazy. Just split lazy, and he's been sweeping everybody. So hats off to the kid, but. Luke off to a slower start. We saw him go 10-0 last season, I think, or maybe even better to start off season 13. So look for him to bounce back. And then Lazy's just been dominant. You see the ridiculous 11.42 runs per nine and 455 batting average, 31 home runs in 10 games. That's just crazy numbers.
Yeah, that's the lazy way. That's what we usually see out of him, but he was thwarted the past few seasons. We'll see if he's going to be back to championship ways this season, if he can, sustain this and keep Speedy and Luke off his trail. I mean, these two players are going to be challenging him this season. For sure. I don't think Luke has played lazy yet. Speedy split with him the other day, so a lot of interesting stuff here at the top three of the XBL. I think you had already said that the improvement from Speedy has been insane. Just look at the runs allowed per nine. 2.53. He's up there in that Von Asen conversation as well as the offensive conversation. Absolutely. So that's the recipe for success for him, at least early in this season. So really, he's the one to watch. He's being the heel. He's playing the heel, and he's playing it right as far as I'm concerned. And I'm all for it. So let's keep it up. Let's see what happens with this group going forward. And as we move forward now in the roundup, we got some StatCast storylines to go over, don't we, Mr. Ox?
Yeah, we do. And a shout out to Wishbone for getting these together because, obviously we haven't had a roundup yet, but Wish still always ever compiling stats for us. And he's got some good ones. And like I was mentioning earlier, Dwayne, we've got some record chasers this season in the AAA.
Yeah, as we go down the list, we're going to see some really interesting stuff in those numbers. To start us off here from Wishbone this week, we're talking about both leagues reducing their speed. This is an interesting move, considering not a lot changed as far as the rules go going into the season. Besides the balanced build, Speed Demons was the most common team build in both leagues last season in Season 13. That has completely changed with no Demon teams in the XBL and only 2 in the AAA. The XBL has mostly moved a lot of their points to bolster their bullpens, while AAA has kind of spread them equally between power and bullpen. So interesting moves here from both leagues.
Yeah, I know you and I both sacrificed a little speed this season. I went from 3 or 5 bar speed in AAA to now, still with an offensive build. But I think you see that across the league, everybody you got to sacrifice something. And I think this season, people gave up a little bit of speed to improve on offense and on, maybe the pitching staff side of things. But it's incredible how many AAA teams went with the 4-3-3, 2-4-3 build. We saw a lot of that bar setup this season in the AAA. The majority of teams went with that, I believe. And then another thing that a majority of teams are going with is the Sakura home park this season.
Yeah, Sakura has jumped up in popularity, surprisingly, maybe because of the size of it, but anyway, it's in the numbers. 25% of the XBL is playing at Sakura Hills this season, and 16% in the AAA, the most that it has ever been in either league, considering the amount of players, too, that we have, more so than usual. 16 in the XBL, 19 right now in the AAA. 35 players, that's a lot of Sakura Hills.
Yeah, and you love to see it. It's aesthetically the most beautiful park, in my opinion, and I love to see the jump. Last season we saw way too much Shaka Sports Turf, so, great move going to Sakura. Excuse me. You love to see it. I think it's a beautiful park, and like you said, it's nice and spacious, pitcher friendly.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays, going forward. Will we see a lot of Sakura in the playoffs? We probably will. I mean, you're going to have to think. So if there's going to, maybe there won't be so much home field advantage if everyone's got the same home field, right? We'll go on down here now to the early season 14 record breakers and chasers. This is where Ox has alluded to a little bit already, and some exciting stuff is in the midst here. Blue Panther has 13 wins so far this season. So this number has changed from 75 now to 81, which is enough for most all-time in the AAA. In second place is No Name right now with 72. Each player is in their 5th AAA season and is going to be jostling for that record until the playoffs. So congratulations to both those players being the winningest in AAA history. Let's see some silverware from them now.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, both of those two, the winningest two in AAA history. So congratulations to both those guys. 5 seasons now, veterans, and hats off to them. But like you said, neither one of these guys has ever won a World Series. So both of them are previous Vaughn ACESN winners. Both of them are great on the mound, and they're tough at the plate. But let's see if this is the year where one of them puts it together and puts a championship run together.
Yeah, you'd have to think the AAA at large, all the veterans would, feel greatly for these players if they were able to put together a huge run. So far, so good for both of them. Only 4 losses between them and 20 wins in this early season. So we'll see how they do towards these playoffs, towards the middle and latter half of the season. Now down the board, we have Fireball Max putting up numbers as usual. He's already put himself 3rd and 4th place this season for most runs scored in a AAA game, with 21 run victories against Joey and Heisman. These are 3rd and 4th all time. Fireball Max also happens to own the 2nd and 1st place slots of this achievement with 23 and 25 runs scored respectively in a game.
Yeah, so that's crazy. We're basically talking about Fireball has the widest margin of victories ever in the AAA. So pretty dominant stuff from Fireball Max. And whenever we see him go up against one of the bottom players of the league, it's really a mismatch, especially when he gets hot. And just an incredible start to the Miami Knights so far. Let's see if some of these better pitchers can slow him down.
Yeah, he's already lost 4 games in this early season, so more than you maybe would have expected with the way he's been putting up runs. But that speaks to the parity and the competitive nature of this AAA. So we're going to have to see how that plays out for Max going forward. Maybe he'll have another couple games where he puts himself on that and to take over the 5th spot and the whole top 5. That'd be pretty interesting. He has another additional record that we want to talk about. I'll go ahead, Ox.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to lead into more Fireball Max stats like you were alluding to. We have not only has he been dominant with the stick, but he has a great eye at the dish. He's on track to smash the single-season walks record in AAA. At the time this was written, Max had 67 walks and was on pace to rack up 134 walks, well above the current record of 87 set by Pizza Volcano's Season 9 Moon Kingdom. So, like we said, 87 is the current total walk record in a season, and Fireball is on track to nearly double that. So, we'll see if he goes ahead and becomes the most dominant walker of all time. Too little Barry Bonds action going on.
Yeah, that's got to help the run conversion rate. Like we said, it's at 50%. That's a big reason why taking all those walks, that kills pitchers.
Yeah, they need to walk Roberto Ramos. That guy's an instant free pass.
Moving on from Max, but staying on the wavelength of the walks, it's Mystery Man who set a AAA record for most walks in a single game in a Week 1 performance against Heisman. An astounding 10 walks taken in that game. The XBL record is also 10 walks in one game held by Ashnod's Coupon in Season 11. So Mist and Ash sharing a record. How about that?
Wow, that is incredible, and it's insane that you can get 10 walks in the game. I know there is an auto forfeit if you get to a certain point, but I think if you spread them out over the course of 9 innings or so, it doesn't actually, spam you out of the game. But we know Mystery Man for his great eye, his great command of the strike zone, and that's good stuff. Anytime you can share a record with Ashnod's Coupon, I mean, that guy arguably has the best eye in Super Mega Baseball. So great stuff for the Mystery Man.
Yeah, it definitely speaks to the level of improvement and competitive nature of Mystery Man since he's come to us here in the XBL, just continually getting better, and that eye is really honed in. We'd love to see more of that from him, and the Mystery Machine is rolling onward. Congratulations to all these players on their AAA achievements so far in this season. It's very, very exciting stuff. We're going to go ahead and move on now to a slide, which, in other cases would be populated, but in this particular case is not. It's the Couch Potatoes hot takes, and what we decided we're gonna do is maybe just come up with a couple here for you on the fly, literally right in front of you on the screen. Here we go, from me and Ox. Who wants to start it off? You got one, Ox? I got one up the sleeve.
All right. Okay, you start us.
I think Speedy finishes first. He may not win the XBL, but he's going to finish first.
Okay, I've got a hot take for the Couch Potato. Mike the Couch plays a ridiculous amount of games in the final 3 weeks of the season and comes on and takes the league by storm. I'm saying top 5 finish.
Now let me get all this. Boom. Okay. All right. Okay. I like it. I like it. I like this.
Okay, I got another one.
What do we got? What do we got?
And this isn't personal. Fireball Max is going to lead the way offensively at a ridiculous rate in the AAA. Somebody takes him down in the playoffs. I don't know who.
Oh my. Max goes down in the playoffs. See, I'm not going to type the whole thing there because I was already trying to edit the other one. You think he finishes first?
It's a hot take. It's a spot. I think he finishes first place and does not win the World Series.
Okay, I like it. I like it. No, that's a strong take in the AAA. And I think we got another one. I'm going to say nobody in either league breaks 70 homers. That's a callback from Mike's hot take a few seasons ago about nobody breaking 75, and Ashnod was able to do it. Well, there's no Ashnod here, so who's going to fill that power hitter vacuum? Do we even have one? Someone's got to come out and do it. You'd have to think that it's in the numbers. Someone will hit a dinger or 70.
I think Black Coffee got close actually in the AAA. We'll see. We'll see. I know he's a 3 outcome kind of guy, but he loves to hit some dingers. So we'll see if Coffee can get up there. And Fireball, I think he's hit a lot more home runs this season than normal. Let's see if we can come up with anything else spicy here.
I'll take one more. If you got one more, we'll put it on there.
Okay, go ahead.
I didn't actually have one. I was saying we'll put one more on here. If you got one. What do you think? I think we bled our well dry unless you come up with one now.
Okay. To the same. I'm just gonna stay on the same wavelength here. I think, and this is his year to do it because there's no Weaver, there's no Ashnod. Like we said, a lot more parity in the XBL. That would seem to pave the way for Lazy even more this year. But I'm going out on another hot take limb. I'm going to say Lazy does not win another World Series.
That's a huge take, honestly, with this field. So I like it. I like this set we have. We got Speedy finishing first, maybe not winning the XBL, but finishing first. Mike plays a ridiculous amount of games in the final 3 weeks of the season and takes the league by storm. I'm saying top 5 finish. That's from Ox. Max goes down in the playoffs. Crazy one. Nobody in either league breaks 70 homers. Not so crazy, just kind of a call. Would love to see it happen, though. And Lazy does not win the World Series. I mean, that's as hot as they come.
We'll have to check back on these and see how they pan out.
Yeah.
Might be too hot of takes. Might have got a little bit too hot up in the kitchen, but right now we're cooking. I like them. Let's see how they pan out.
Yeah, we'll revisit these, maybe add to them as the season goes on, maybe remove them if they get broken or messed up. So exciting stuff here in the XBL. We'll take over the hot potato takes until we see Mike from here. It's all good. Let's move on now to our plays of the week. And there was a lot of these ones submitted this week. I think like 4 or 5 different players I'm talking submitted a diving catch that led to a double play in either the left or right field gap. We're going to start off with this one from Wishbone because Wishbone doesn't usually end up on the highlight reel. He's usually on the not so highlight reel.
Yeah, this might be the first recorded. I actually posted 2 really good plays. Might be the first. And look, RNG's taking over the replay feed. But usually Wish is on the wrong end of these types of plays where no matter the fielding stat, his guy's going to drop the ball on a dive. Or a lot of times it'll just hologram right through him. It'll just go right through his player. They just won't use their glove. So it's nice to see Wish, make a great play. And this is with the bases loaded too against Luke Archer. So a heck of a spot to do it, even though they lost the game. Great job, Wishbone.
Yeah, big catch there from Wish. And to go hand in hand with that, like I said, we had a lot of submissions on these types of plays from both leagues. So here's one from the AAA. This one is from Black Coffee. Absolutely going crazy, diving in the left center field gap, this time at Shaka. And look at this play. Just huge extension. And it has to make a great throw to second to get the runner in time.
Yeah, and this is shout out to Black Coffee right here. He's one of those teams that definitely sacrifices on speed. As we all know, the Banjos, his team last year was the same way. Not a lot of speed on this team. And you got to really time your dive well. Look how late he times this dive at the very last possible second. So very well played there from Coffee. And then again, the crazy amount of these like double plays from the outfield on ridiculous catches. So if you got left out this week, we really apologize, but we felt like these were two of the better plays in the bigger moments. So great job here, Coffee.
Yeah, huge plays here from two of these players. Just to give you an example of the defensive capability amongst both leagues, everybody can flop out there with the best of them into those gaps. It's insane the amount of plays, like I said, we saw this week on that end. We'll move on to play number 4. This is a big one. The pitch from D-Cell crushed to center, and that's Sweaty Betty walking it off for the Plum Island Pirates in a 0-0 ball game after D-Cell had pitched 8 2/3 scoreless.
Yeah, we saw Carmelo Soprano. If you look at her, she's on fire. Not easy to keep a pitcher on fire into the 9th inning. So she was dominating this game in a gridlocked 0-0 tie. And honestly, this is a great play by D. Silly. Timed the dive perfectly in center, but Sweaty Betty, she was too sweaty. She just got too much barrel all over this and just got it up out of Emerald for the walk-off dinger.
Yeah, it's
big win for the Pirates.
Great win. Yeah, great play there for the Plum Island Pirates here from the pitcher's perspective. This was submitted by both players at both perspectives. This one, I like to get the home run, from the pitch and then into the seats. I like that. And that's just a huge, huge moment. Got to feel good for Rise, who hasn't had a ton of success or a ton of runs early yet in this season.
Yeah, Rise has a few W's, but not a lot of offense. And hats off to D-Sil, because ever since he's joined us, he's always been the type of guy who will clip the other guy's great play.
Absolutely.
And post it in the channel. So hats off to D-Sil.
Yeah, great sportsmanship there as we slide up now to play number 3. This one was from the match of the week last week between myself and Pizza. And it's a play I was pretty proud of this one when I made it, that's for sure.
Yeah, we didn't have your audio, but I bet you were going pretty wild when you made this play. That was a sick grab.
Yeah, the over-the-shoulder grab.
Saved 2 runs.
Yeah, I had thought for a moment there that I was going to get burned by the reliever, and it ended up being all right. I did get burned in this game, though, even though I had gotten some injuries and some pitchers out of the game in my favor early on. So shout out to Pizza for another, extremely competitive and insane series that we always seem to play. We played a scrim earlier today that ended in a walk-off. The pair of us putting up like 15, 20 hits apiece. So it always seems to go that way with Pizza. And that, great plays from great games. That's how it goes.
That was a wacky set you guys played in this game in particular, but wow, what a play. And 5-bar D getting it done.
Now we're heading on to play number 2, and this one's a little bit different. It's actually a relay from Mystery Man, who misses the ball initially in the outfield. You think D-Cell's home and away scoring in this 0-0 game, and missed absolutely burns him. A great throw from Shannon Blake to the cutoff, 88 power, and then the cutoff throw, 99 power, gets the runner at home plate. Huge.
Yeah, this one, until you see the top play, this one was my vote for the top play of the season so far. I mean, a ridiculous cut and relay. This is one of my favorite parts about baseball, Dwayne, are the little things like this, the small ball, the defensive side of the game. And I don't know if Blake should have or could have made that catch initially, but what a transfer. You see the great throw, and no one uses the cutoff man, but gets it into perfectly to the cutoff man, and a perfect throw and tag out at home. Great play by the missed defense.
Yeah, timing was everything on that play. You needed, he needed to be perfect with those throws to get it done. Yeah, like you said, good utilization of the cutoff. You don't see that all the time, but that's, very, very pleasing to the eye in a baseball game to see it's, defense work efficiently like that. And now we've got our play of the week here, numero uno, and this one comes from Red Rock and the Wishbone. The Astronauts down 3-0 in a game versus Mama June June, and he crushes the 3-run dinger to tie it up and eventually win this one 4-3.
Yeah, what a clutch spot here for the Astronauts, and that ball ain't getting out of many parks. Wishbone maybe a hair early on this, but a big moment for the Astronauts. I mean, Mama June, I can speak to this personally. He's tough to hit against now, and he'd really pitched a good ball game to be shutting Wishbone out for 8 1/3 inning. But just a horrifying spot to give up a 3-run homer, and then gave up a walk-off home run after this, I believe. So a big W for Wish's Astronauts here, getting the sweep and absolutely stealing one from the up-and-comer. Mama June's having a heck of a rookie season.
Yeah, he's had a great week, but got burned here against Wishbone. He got a little bit of that veteran electricity there late in the ball game in the XBL. It's never over till it's finally over, and that's when you learn in those moments for sure. Shout out to Wishbone for getting it done, and shout out to everybody who submitted some plays this week. We had a ton of plays, a lot of them really similar, so I had to pick and choose a few of them, but it was really, really a good submission. Let's keep submitting a lot more, lots of different kinds of plays too. That's a good way to get up here, show us something we haven't seen in a long time. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, we ought to do a like an end of the reel highlight or something, Dwayne, where a lot of the ones that aren't shown on Match of the Week are still worthy plays. We just try to filter out the 5 that are, maybe the most worthy, because there was a lot of great submissions over the last 3 weeks, and we really appreciate everyone clipping the plays and keep clipping them, because we'll try to put something together for you guys. But hats off to all these guys making these great plays.
Yeah, shout out to everybody in the XBL getting your games in, making it happen as we push forward now towards the middle of the season and then the playoffs once again in season 14. That'll do it for us here on the roundup tonight. But it's been really, really exciting. Tons of content. Good to be here with you for almost an hour here on this roundup, Mr. Ox.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It was a good time. We had a lot of content to go over, and we appreciate the stats being kept by Wishbone, of course, and again for all the submissions and for you guys. Thanks for everything, and Dwayne, thanks for producing, man. It's not an easy job to cast and produce, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ox, for always being available. Thank you to all of our casters who have made it happen, like I said, in my absence late last season and early into this season due to work. So just a huge shout out for everybody who stepped up to the plate. Shout out to Wish for keeping the stats and everybody who makes this happen. All the players. Let's keep the train moving. Let's keep the ball rolling. Season 14, then 15, whether that's on season SMB 3 or SMB maybe 4 now that we've gotten a little bit of hide nor hair news of it in the past week. So we'll see what happens this spring. We'll see when this season wraps up, if that's going to be, a bit of a lull and extra off season for us if we go to the next game, but that's a discussion for a later date. Shout out to everybody again. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you again later on Match of the Week this week, and have a safe and pleasant evening, everyone.
Later, guys.